Maniga Kayawna Sita Dhamma Kore Ayung Leje Boli Tega Taku Tisha Poema Swimmers were shoot at the tea Akong the tea Akong as a Luchi Uria Rubaru Parava Dilet the Marile Padora I have never seen it. Chida Kaile Padora Alo Ingari so nevi soye Manswa Timus Rale Padora Dinine Uya Sati Samariga Samari Khanda Samari Sikha Boli Samari Sadhana Pizondara. I never seen a Quinja David at the woman Titi Niraga Pina Sikha Boli. That is Pizondara. Shulu Piatazwa Dirai Eritamari Sikha and Pina Sikha in the Kuara Chini Shasha Pidora. Dilatica, Pizon Nino, Ridica, Domian, Ponade Cajara Dilatica, Maridica, Pina Deca Daricoma, Pizonara. Emna Wondas Corner. Second day, Manila Lucian, second time area Pizonira. Uriabia Nyamba Yopi solution. Ludwara to a Temsila, they fully sa Mimia Pinidora Lule Lumadira Harale Hamadira Ludam no Maloya on Sovido 2-3 Tala Hare Coclede, Ule Pia Mr. Nalila Adama Ubadanaye, say by Engari body. Throw a piece on the deep by your Lalosia. They went as your corner.
Yesterday, Sayadawgyi spoke about how one observes whatever of the four kinds of objects arise, whether it's kaya, physicality, vedana, feeling, chitta, consciousness, or Dhamma, general objects. When any one of these four arises, one observes with steadfast sati. And when our observation becomes good, our sati becomes good, then virya, ardent effort, is also present. And also samadhi, the collected mind, plus accurate aim. So when these four factors are complete, then correct knowledge is present, knowing correctly. Virya, sati, and samadhi, energy, awareness, and concentration, make up the samadhi group of the path. They make up the training of samadhi, samadhi sekha. Therefore, the teaching of samadhi is complete in oneself at this time. With accurate aim and correct knowledge, the wisdom portion of the path, the training of wisdom, panya sekha, is also present. So in every moment of observation, the training of concentration, samadhi sekha, and the training of panya, the training of wisdom, panya sekha, are present. And sila, morality, is complete initially. So therefore we have all three trainings, the training of sila, morality, the training of concentration, and the training of wisdom are complete in oneself. And if one can observe every second of the time, then these trainings are present. And this is true especially at the stage of Uddiyabhiya Jnana, seeing the fast arising and passing away of phenomena. Because at that time, one's observation is very keen, and one doesn't miss, or if one does, one knows it right away, and one is determined not to let oneself miss again. So in this way, one fills up the gaps in one's practice and makes one's situation better. So at this stage in the practice, the factors of vipassana are all complete, and this is cause for happiness.
Buddha sabi yagaro dipai yaw la bi so lo shi yin pyu si mi myat de ati du de ye asait pai inga de saung la bi de lo so ba de taniya phin ati du nyan du ya du ye a chaung taya de le saung la bi de lo so ba de Irago Palilo Businga lo call it Businga, Bodhi Anga, Bodhi Chusimimia de Juro ye, say by the Chusimia to Athena by she a chauntia as the Pia. Seta Ato di Burma, the gay Pusimia de Ria P. Yotwana. It's a little Chichugan told about it. Uramas what the town Yin who doesn't know. Doesn't say a body in a little soul of it. Those are the Kundapalo. Also, Ninero, Kundamio, a year to Ninero, those are the Kundapa, as a penny. It repeats on La Vie, Janga de Soda.
In the Buddhist texts, when one reaches this stage, it is said that the factors of pure knowledge are all complete. They all come together at this stage. Or they are also called the factors of one who knows, or one who comes to gain this pure knowledge. In Pali, the word is bojjhanga. That's made up of two words, bodhi and anga. Bodhi means pure knowledge, and anga means a factor or a part. So bojjhanga means a part of pure knowledge, or a factor of pure knowledge. Or it means one who knows. It means the cause for becoming one who knows with this pure knowledge. So if one continues to practice in this life, one will surely reach the state of a noble one, of an Arya. And in the teachings of the Buddha, the factors, all the different factors which make up the teachings are present. And there are 37 of these factors individually, and they fall into 7 groups. And at this stage in the practice, all these factors are complete.
Also, the economy Saragaro, Ke Satipatthana also, Ne Samaprana also, though Etipada also, Le Indriya also, Na Bala also, Chao Buzinga also, Kone Meginga also Kunomio Piatava. Eri Contamio had to show Lego Shida Shida, Nago Shida Shida, Kunaku Shida Shida, Shiku Shida Shida. Eri 20 resolution. Those are not on the bottom Shiva. Era Pusinga, body and God. As the Dhamma Tower.
These 7 groups are, first of all, the Satipatthana group. Second of all, the Samapatthana group. Third, Iddhipada. 4, the Indriyas. 5, the Bala, or powers. And 6, the Bojjhangas. And 7, the Meganga. So there are 7 kinds, 7 groups, and some of these groups have 4 individual members, some have 5, some have 7, and some have 8. So when one adds them all up, it becomes 37. And these are called in Pali Bojjhanga, Bodhi Anga, the factors of pure knowledge.
But about the Satipatthana also, Kayanupassana Satipatthana, Vijnanupassana Satipatthana, Sayadanupassana Satipatthana, Dhammanupassana Satipatthana. People the Mia go Muyarego, Sosam Shumata. Council Kansamu Rego, Sosam Shumata. State Muse only, let's Sosam Shumanina. Commissioner Sashi and Niwarana, Trade, the Bomuyarego, Sosam Shumanina. Chukwenge IMG Lemio Boli, Eddie IMG Lemio Rega, Eddie Shukwa Crede Boli. Burma Saro Tinjare Ayo alike, Burmazo, Dea Saya Melu, so Yosagat Hushibare, Tinjara Yone Nazoluchi, Yoga Tinjari, Yoko Uzabi Mayabara. Yotema leve Chiga Yone, Mire Yok Namushi Vare. Eddie Chiga Yoko, Patamazonsa Uzabi Abare. Uzabi Mayade Ayo, Yo Ayo Limure Maleve, don't dear slow shade, Wayodaga Chacha, that did it, Bobiro Tishara Holo, Tugo Uzabi of Mayabara. To Pona Pina is a leve. Jora Lana Chara is a Darilla Limiara. Uzabi Mayara. Uzabi needs in the area of Burma Saro, a legion of Sidido, Congo Mideo. Tabi Melo Nilanja Seriale Api Mimido Leve. Laina Mushibi Solution, the part 20, Congo Mimi of Money Lora. The Chaja Jenny Malemati, the Chale Namato, Lotte Galeva Pototo, at the solution, the one about Adole Bam to the Dentova Adolem to Tala Adole Bam to. Did I? Eluption Hamara. Tripura Joe, Nala, Mimano, Tambo Tara Pocoriero. A local Yodi. Korea people, the Maloya, you did the Madonna, city Sasali Madonna. Yanada Mashiva, the Kadamia, Atuto, Adipoco, Takana Leve, Ubatana, the Mari, the Kaniga, the Mari, the Piets on La Vida, Agulo, Agubi, Pipit, Agubi, Pietora. How get this, Gubi, Pipit, Agubi, Pietora, Kuriga Yuna, Tiari, Kato the Leti Miller. Kuresitama Kanzare would not let I totally dealer. Sikusina Chansimuri, direct dealer. You would not diary, Diago, no Japira, the commissioner side, and you would not diary. The chat to the Buyari body, Nari, Malota Manela. Mammy the Miale, Dire Ludale Lomandire. Two yogis already senior sound Reka. 3 days looked at a Benia salute as a deer. As a loud table. Mida Mimanti looked at Lumanti as a neta. Mana Mamanti, Mara Mamanti as a deer. I did this at a day, Gigi to Rima. Mana Lanja like Joshi Mandiluci, Mianura. Marilla like me to Jome solution and that is shown out of it. It is that the overcon are converted. Tea Bifa, a tea quality at Sadakare. Malutala website. Oh, no Pajaluchi, Bovido Tin Shava, the good. Malutala got deep and Sada Velma. A yogi, a lulu. Look on my piola, meaning widow. The ayah swear I'm not gonna, no lemon soto. 80 pinty yoke solution. Competencia, they are able to blow over. A thali, Pibi Mama lean at Careto.
In the group of Satipatthana members, there's Kayanupassana Satipatthana, that is observing whatever physical act arises with steadfast sati. Vedananupassana Satipatthana, observation of feelings good or bad, whatever arises with steadfast mindfulness. Chittanupassana Satipatthana, the observation of various types of consciousness, mind that arises, whatever arises with firmly established sati. And Dhammanupassana Satipatthana, observing, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, observing kama, chanda, nivarana, and so on, all the general objects, whenever they arise with steadfast sati. So when we observe, we try to, within the large field of observation, there are individual objects arising. And we have to start our practice according to what is evident. This is a saying in vipassana. So what is the easiest thing to see? There's mind and matter, nama and rupa, and of these two, it's easier to see the physical. It's easier to see matter. And among the physical matter, what is easiest to see are the elements, the 4 basic elements that make up matter. And of the elements, the easiest one of these to see is the air element. The air element creates movement, it supports, it causes tension, causes tightness. And thus it is easier to see than all the other 4 elements. So because of this, we start our observation with that. And the rising and falling is basically air. So we use that as our main object. Lifting, moving, placing also is caused by air. So we give preference to observing what is easy to observe. And at first we can't observe very much, but as we follow the instructions with trust that they will benefit, then within a week one can come to note pretty well. And if one doesn't learn the method of practice, or one learns it but doesn't apply it systematically, or doesn't use it at all, then it won't make any difference how long one practices. One can practice a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months. Without application, systematic application of the practice, it won't be effective. But when one understands the benefits of the practice and therefore cherishes the practice, then such a one will work respectfully, meticulously, without even taking a break during one's day. And such people quickly gain momentary concentration, khanika samadhi, and they quickly come to see how the old is replaced by the new, how one thing is continually being replaced by another, how whatever one is observing, whether it's kaya, vedana, chitta, or Dhamma, the physical feelings, the mind, the Dhammas, thinking, the nivaranas, whatever it is, one is able to note that object, and one knows what one observes. So some yogis are also, when they do walking meditation and they miss a noting, they know exactly where they were when they missed. And so one knows quite well what one is able to observe, and one also knows what one has missed. And this is very important to know clearly in this way. So one, in the practice, one knows what is the correct path to follow, and that this is beneficial. And one also knows what is the incorrect path, that it is unbeneficial, and therefore to avoid it. So this type of knowledge is very important. So at the stage of Uddiyabhiya Jnana, there are almost no misses. One almost never misses the objects, even small ones. And from here on, the yogis are happy with their work. So they're not bored. They don't back off from the practice at this stage, because the gravitational pull of the Dhamma is strong. The meditation teachers at this point don't have very much that they need to do to guide the yogi. The yogi just needs to keep on going.
ဒီဘိန်းလောက်ရောက်လာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ယောဂီဟာစောစောပိုင်းကတော့ယောဂီလို့အမည်ခံထားပြီမယ်လို့ယောဂီအင်္ဂါနဲ့မပြည့်စုံပါဘူးအမည်ကယောဂီလောက်ပဲရှိပါတယ်by name yogi ပေါ့လေခုဒီပဲရောက်လာတဲ့အခါမှာယောဂီဆိုတော့ဒီလိုကိုဆိုတော့နားလည်လာတယ်ဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုတော့တရှင်းတဲ့စိတ်ကလေးတွေကလည်းပဲတိုးပွားများလာတာကိုအတိညာလေးရတယ်ရိတ်ကလေးပေါ်ရိတ်ကလေးပြောက်အခုပဲဖြစ်အခုပဲပြတ်သွားတာလေအသေးဖွဲလေးတွေကအစတခါတည်းရှင်းရှင်းလင်းပြတ်ပြတ်သွားသိတာအဲ့ဒါကြီးတိုးပွားလာတာအဲ့ဒါစိတ်နဲ့စေတော့နဲ့အတိညာစပေတာတိုးလာတာကြီးလာတာထွားလာတာပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီစိတ်နဲ့စေတော့နဲ့အတိညာတွေတိုးပွားကြီးထွားပြီးတော့များအောင်အဲ့ဒီများရေးမှာအစာပြုတ်ကြိုးပါအထောက်မှုတစင်တိုး၍အပြည့်မှလုံးမြောက်ကြိုးပါအထောက်မှုအစစ်စစ်ထိုး၍တိုး၍ပန်းတဲ့ရောက်တဲ့ဒီကြိုးပါအထောက်မှုတဲ့ကြိုးပါအထောက်မှု3ဆင့်စပြီးတော့ပြေးလာတာပဲတော့အဲ့ဒါကိုပါဠိလိုယောဂခေါ်တာပဲ Sapio Juba Atom. A Pimoya, the Kara Yoga, a Pimo, the Atosamaro. Atosamaro, a jewel and Mapodero. Sit at the Sunday bit of a piano when the Daro to do Coco Chedara. Having a piano, whatever shoot up a show video. The people choose out all the chain. Now the Saint Ovid or Uria the corner. We will panning up Bale, lose a punish here, Utiche. Logi Vamale, Sauni, Pilevoya, and Logi tapping at the below taint had it them PCD Piomber, Palolome, Midazo Sauni, Pileo, Bari Suzamas or what. Luloka, what? Sazaya Machote, I was order. Utiche or a shear there. Utijem she went at Water, David she. True to it, Lupidavo, Lulo Sayadaw, Ludinia, she was rale. Ludaima, that Utiche shear. လူတိုင်းဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဘယ်ဘာသာဝင်မဆိုဘယ်လူမျိုးမဆိုအကုန်လုံးပဲဒါတော့ထားရပါလားဥတီချက်ရှိတဲ့ဘဝမှာအဓိပ္ပာယ်ရှိပါတယ်ဥတီချက်မရှိရင်နေရာမကျဘူးဥတီချက်ကတော့ဓမ္မအခြေခံကိုယ်ကျင့်သီလတွေပြည့်စုံပြီးတော့စိတ်ဓာတ်တွေဖွံ့ဖြိုးအသိဉာဏ်တွေတိုးဖို့တဲ့အဲ့ဒီဥတီချက်သို့တော့စိတ်ကူးရုံနဲ့မရပါဘူးဆုတောင်းရုံနဲ့မရပါဘူးစိတ်ဓာတ်တွေဖွံ့ဖြိုးဖို့နိလန်းတွေကိုစာဖတ်ရုံနဲ့မရပါဘူးနိတိရုံနဲ့လည်းမရပါဘူးတကယ်ကအားထုတ်မှခုနအလုပ်ဆက်ရမယ်ကြားထဲမှာပြင်းဝင်လာလို့ရှိရင်ဒီပြင်းကိုလုံရောက်တဲ့အထိအားတစ်ဆင့်တိုးရမယ်ဝိရိယမြင့်တင်ပေးရမယ်နောက်ဆုံးပတ်နေရပါလေနောက်ဆုံးပတ်ရလူသိညာရှိပြီးတော့လူထက်လူဖြစ်ဖို့ဒါနောက်ဆုံးပတ်နေထားရမှာပဲဘုရားဗုဒ္ဓသာသနာနယ်ပယ်ထဲမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့အနည်းဆုံးသောတာပန်ဖြစ်ဖို့ဒါအနည်းဆုံးပတ်နေထားပါအဲ့ဒါလိုပန်းနိုင်မရှိဘူးနဲ့သွားနေရတဲ့ဘဝဟာအတိတ်ပဲမရှိဘူးလောကမှာလည်းပဲပန်းနိုင်ထားတယ်ပြီးတော့တတ်တဲ့တတ်ပညာတွေစီးပွားရေးတွေရှာပြီးတော့တကူရေမိသားစုစောင့်နေပြည်လည်ပြီးတော့ဗောလေတက်တောင့်တက်တာနေရအောင်ထို့တူပဲလူရလို့ဖြစ်လာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လူပိသားဖို့အရေးကြီးတယ်ဆိုတော့လူလိုစိတ်ဓာတ်တတ်ဖို့အရေးကြီးတယ်လူသိညာရှိပြီးတော့လူထက်လူဖြစ်ဖို့အရေးကြီးတယ်ဆိုတော့ဒါထက်စဉ်းစားရတယ်ဒါတဲ့အရေးကြီးဆုံးပဲအဲ့ဒါလိုလူပိသားရေးအတွက်တိခါ3ရပ်ပေါ်ပြီးဖြစ်ပွားစေရေးမှာအစပြောကြဝိရိယမရှိဘဲနဲ့မရဘူးပြင်းထူပြီးတော့နောက်ဆောက်လို့မရဘူးရှေ့တိုးရမယ်ဘယ်နဲ့ရောက်တဲ့ဒီကြိုးစားရမယ်အဲ့လိုကြိုးစားတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ကိုဒါယောဂီခေါ်တာပဲယုတ်တပယုတ်တတရားယောဂီရဲ့အခြေခံကိုကျင့်သီလတွေပြည့်စုံပြီးတော့စိတ်ဓာတ်တွေဖွံ့ဖြိုးအသိဉာဏ်တွေတိုးပွားရေးမှာအစပြုကြိုးပမ်းထုတ်တဆင့်တိုးရဲ့အပြင်းမှလုံးရောက်ကြိုးပမ်းထုတ်အရှင်းရှင်းတိုးရဲ့ပန်းနဲ့ရောက်တဲ့ဒီကြိုးပမ်းအထုတ်မှုတဲ့အဲ့ဒီကြိုးပမ်းအထုတ်မှုရဲ့ပိုက်ရှင်းကိုပါဠိလိုယောဂီလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်အခုလည်းပဲပါဠိကိုပဲယောဂီလို့ပါဠိဘာသာနဲ့ပဲဆက်သုံးနေပါတယ်တော့အခုဒီပိုင်းရောက်လာလို့ရှိရင်ရိတ်ကလေးပေါ်ရိတ်ကလေးပြောက်အသေးပေါ်လေးတွေစသိလာတာအခုဖြစ်ပြီးတော့အခုပဲပြတ်သွားတာလေးတွေသိလာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ယောဂီပြီးသားသွားပြီစာပဲယောဂီဒီပိုင်းရောက်တဲ့ခါကျမှယောဂီပြီးသားတာယောဂီပြီးသားတဲ့ယောဂီရဲ့အကျိုးရလက်ကနောက်မဆုတ်တော့ဘူးရှေ့သာသွားတော့တာပဲ ဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုတော့တရားရတာတွေတွေ့သွားတာကို
When one reaches this stage, before this stage in the practice, one has taken on the name of yogi, but one has not come to possess the qualities of a yogi yet. When one starts out, although one is doing the practice, one is a yogi in name only. So, at the start, one has to understand what a yogi is. So, what we do is to make the mind clean, develop the clean mind, and increase it, make it occur more and more frequently, so that one's knowledge arises. So at this stage in the practice, let me start again. At this stage in the practice of seeing the past arising and passing away, one has come to understand what a yogi is, because the clean mind is being developed and increased, made to occur again and again. And one's knowledge is very swift. One sees how things arise and pass in a way, in a fleeting, very quick manner. Starting with small things, one can see very clearly. So this is how one's mind has expanded due to the practice. So one's mind and knowledge have increased, have become developed. And what is necessary to bring about this development of the mind and development of knowledge is, first of all, initial effort. And second of all, one needs to step up one's effort. And third, one needs to have effort that doesn't let up until it reaches the goal. So these three factors make up a yogi. So at this stage in the practice, these factors are complete. So these three types of effort are called yoga. And one needs to make initial effort, an effort to start the practice. And then one needs to overcome laziness. What happens is that as one starts the practice, one hasn't seen the benefits yet. The results haven't come yet. And so laziness comes in. At this stage, one has to increase one's effort and overcome laziness and boredom. So what is the goal? There should be a goal. And when we go to school, when we study, we consider, well, how much am I going to learn? How much am I going to study? What am I going to work for? How much do I want to earn so that I can support my family? So in the world, we should have an objective. And in the practice too, in this task of becoming a true human being, with a human mentality and having human knowledge to gain better than human knowledge, one should have this type of goal. Life without an objective has no meaning. So one should have an objective to keep good sila, and then to develop and expand the mind, develop knowledge, but not by imagination and not by wishing, not by just learning a method or reading about how to practice. One has to start the work. So that is the first stage of effort. And secondly, when laziness and boredom come in, one has to increase one's effort. And then from there, one goes to the final goal. We have human knowledge, but we want to gain something better, a better type of human knowledge. For Sayadawgyi, he thinks the minimum goal should be to achieve first path and fruition, Sotapatti path and knowledge. So without a goal, life is not meaningful. And in the world, in our education and in our work, we establish goals, and then because we want to be able to take care of ourselves comfortably and to take care of our family. So with the practice too, if one is a human, then it's important to be a true human being. And it's important to have a human mentality, human heart. And it's important to have human knowledge that is special. For this, one needs to develop the 3 trainings. And without effort, virya, it is not possible to develop the 3 trainings. It is not possible without making the effort to overcome laziness. And it's not possible without making effort that keeps on going until one reaches one's goal. So this is the meaning of the word yogi, yota, payotataya yogi. That is one that makes these 3 kinds of effort, the initial effort, the increased effort, and the fulfilled effort that goes to completion, to develop the mind and develop knowledge. So one who possesses these 3 stages of effort is called a yogi. And at this stage in the practice, one sees the very quick arising and passing away of phenomena. At this stage, one is a true yogi. And the benefit of being a true yogi is that one doesn't retreat, one doesn't back up. So, and the reason for this is because one has tasted the flavor of the Dhamma.
So yogi pidalo shi the Uriya sura kauna ra Uriya sura yeyin tu yeyin chin sura debi ya ba tu ye kaung bol hiro yit ta Uriya tu ye kaung sura ga chok sa ne twi lo shi naw ma twa ba buအခြေအနေကြည့်ပြီးတော့ရှေ့တိုးရတယ်ကြံ့ကြံ့ခံရတယ်ဒါမှသူရဲကောင်းခေါ်တာအသက်တည်မှလည်းမကြောက်ရဘူးကိုယ်နာမှလည်းမကြောက်ဘူးအသက်တည်မှလည်းမကြောက်ရဘူးဒါမှသူရဲကောင်းဖြစ်နေတာကိုယ်နာမှကြောက်အသက်တည်မှကြောက်လို့ရှိရင်တော့ဘယ်တော့မှသူရဲကောင်းဖြစ်နေဘူးတရားထုတ်တဲ့ခါမှလည်းဒီတိုင်းပဲယောဂီသူရဲကောင်းဆိုတော့ဗောလေရဲညလို့ရတယ်ကိုယ်နာမှယောဂရရပြီးတော့သိမှမကြောက်ပါဘူးတရားထုတ်လို့ယောဂရရတော့သိတယ်မသာတော့အခုတည်းမရှိသေးပါဘူးယောဂရတော့မှအောက်ဝဲခေါ်လို့ပြုတ်တော့တယ်အများကြီးရှိပါတယ်တရားဒီအထုတ်တော့လည်းရှိအသက်တွေပိုးရှိလာတယ်တွေ့ရပါတယ်ထားပါတော့ဒီကတော့ခုနသတိပဋ္ဌာန်၄ပါးဖြစ်တယ်ဆိုတော့လည်းပဲခုနစွန့်စားမှာကိုယ်နဲ့တည်းမငဲ့ပါနဲ့စွန့်စားရမှာဒီလိုဆရာတွေစိတ်တည်ကြအောင်ပြုလုပ်တာတွေတို့တွေအသိဉာဏ်နဲ့ဖြစ်အောင်ပြုလုပ်ရတာတွေဒါတွေကကိုယ့်အတွက်သိအရေးကြီးတဲ့အရာတွေပဲဒါရရောက်ရအတွက်ကိုယ်နဲ့တည်းမငဲ့ရဘူးအဲ့ဒါတွေကိုအနှောက်အယှက်ပေးတတ်တဲ့အကြာအလံတို့ကိလေသာတွေဖြစ်ရအောင်မဖြစ်ဖို့ရအတွက်ကြိုးပမ်းရတယ်ကာကွယ်ရေးတွေလုပ်ရတယ်တော့ Tegelo Pilla Visilochi, Eddie Aladu, no time of Chia. Piquemia or level Jovayana. Erago, pay the Lusu, pay the Soraga. Pinny have Pelomia. Kaway the water chia. Pilla Visoya, Macomati, no Aladu Edadi, Pipoya. Pipoya, Kaway. Go Matanchen, Conosita, Pumudi, Pite, Pio, Josiah, ye. Piles a good lady, she loves me, so she. The native the chain at the same body. Do of wow, meow, Geo 12 low. Who bow a good lady. Then she loves me, she. New Year neighbor, Yinket wow. Larivo. Edro Tetanza Gudori, Pio Pawaya Sora, along to take Jiwa Puyan, Sunzayame. Eddie Uria listen Shiva Dama. Uria lame your body. Eddie Uria lame you, Chikavido. Juban and Lucy, swimming at the Disra. A little kilo. In a Dhamma, leave a look over there. I go Uria Yamayola Visiluci. Go net the Mungava Pene, Sunzavido. Juban Atote Uria Ha. Mianila, Arata Uria sort of feel like she yavido. Do she net to Dora? Yalam Aula Javan Babu. The baby apported and also piece of Dhamma. Eddie Uria listen, she about it.
If one is a true yogi, then one's virya, effort, is good. Virya means courage. It's the quality of a hero. A hero is a person who, when they meet an obstacle, doesn't back up. According to the situation, they look at the situation and then they advance. So a hero isn't afraid for his or her life or limb. If one is afraid, then one can't be heroic. So yogis have to be courageous in the practice. And until now, there have been no deaths due to the practice. In fact, many people have overcome diseases due to the practice and have been able to live much longer than they would have due to the practice. So, leaving that aside, Sayadawgyi first spoke about the 4 types of Satipatthana. So, to develop morality, samadhi, wisdom, sila, samadhi, panya, is very important for us. And in order to develop these, one can't one can't favor oneself. One has to make courageous effort in order to develop these trainings. So there are 4 ways in which one has to make effort. One has to make effort when there are things that are disturbing to the work of kusala. One has to make effort to get rid of them. One has to also make effort so that things like that don't happen again, so that unwholesome tendencies don't happen again. So one has to make effort to remove the ones that have arisen, and one also has to make effort to so that unwholesomeness doesn't arise again, like ones that arose previously. And then one also, if the wholesome actions, wholesome speech, wholesome mentality hasn't yet arisen in one has to start to make that happen. So one has to make effort in that way to develop wholesome physical, verbal, and mental behavior. And if such behavior has arisen, then one has to work to develop this, to expand it, to make it occur more and more frequently, so that from just a few occurrences of wholesome behavior or speech or mentality, one creates many. And from a very weak and immature stage, one develops wholesomeness to maturity. So one has to have these four kinds of effort. This type of effort is called, these four are called supreme effort. And if one makes effort in these four areas, then steadfast sati is sure to follow. This type of effort is called in Pali samappadana, and some people translate that as supreme effort. So at the stage of udyabbiya jnana, seeing the fast arising and passing away of phenomena, one's effort is balanced. It doesn't fall down, one doesn't slack off, but one's effort steadily increases. So a yogi needs to have these four kinds of virya, or effort.
လူစီတာပတ်နိုင်ထားရပါတယ်ပတ်နိုင်ရှိရပါတယ်မြုံမနဲ့အတိုင်းကျိုးကြီးစုတွေပြီးကြီးခြင်းရဲ့အခြေခံအကြောင်းပါဠိလိုတော့အဋ္ဌိပါဒလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်အဋ္ဌိပြီးကြီးအောင်မြင်မှုရဲ့ပါဒအခြေခံတရားအဲ့ဒီအခြေခံပါရပါတယ်ဆောက်ပြီးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အုံမြင့်ဖို့အရေးကြီးပါတယ်မိမိဘဝအခုလိုစိတ်ဓာတ်တွေဖွံ့ဖြိုးအတိမန်တွေတိုးဖို့ရအတွက်ပေါ့လေအခြေခံပါရတယ်နိလမှန်နေတွေ့ပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့ဒီနိမမှန်တိုင်းအထုတ်လို့တကယ်တရားတွေရလို့တဲ့ဆန္ဒစန္ဒတိပါဒခေါ်ပါတယ်ချန္ဒဝတ္တကိဏမကမ္မနာစိတ်တိတဲ့ပြင်းပြတဲ့ဆန္ဒရှိယုံကြည်မှုအခြေခံကောင်းပြီးတော့ရလို့တဲ့ဆန္ဒပြင်းပြတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်မှာမအောင်မြင်တဲ့အရာမဖြစ်တဲ့အရာမရှိဘူးတဲ့ကြိုးစားသလောက်ဖြစ်လာမှာပဲဒါပဲအဲ့ဒီဆန္ဒမျိုးထားရပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီဆန္ဒမျိုးရှိတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဟာပြီးစေရဲ့အကြောင်းစန္ဒိဋ္ဌိပဆိုတော့ပေါ်လာတာပဲတခါတည်းလည်းပဲဝိရိယအခက်ခဲကိုကြော်နိုင်တာပေါ့လေတနည်းအားဖြင့်လည်းပဲအညာစားအနေစားတွေကိုရှောင်ရတဲ့တတိကောင်းတဲ့ဟာတွေကိုရင်ဆိုင်ရတဲ့တတိလုံရတဲ့တတိဝိရိယရှိသူကဘယ်အရာမျိုးဆိုပြီးစီးနိုင်တာပဲဆိုတော့ပေါ့လေဝိရိယကိုတော့ကိဏမကမ္မနစိတ်တွေဆိုတာပေါ့လေမှန်ကန်တဲ့ဝိရိယအားကိုပြီးတော့ပေါ့လေကိုလူလိုက်ချက်တွေအောင်မြင်လုပ်တာလည်းရှိပါတယ်ဝိရိယမလျှော့ပဲနဲ့နောက်မတွန့်ပဲနဲ့ပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒါဝိရိယတိပတ်ခေါ်ပါတယ်အလုံးလုံးတဲ့ခါမှာလည်းပဲစိတ်ဓာတ်ကြเสียအကြောင်းနေနဲ့ယုံလို့ရှိရင်စိတ်တွေကတွန့်သွားတတ်ပါတယ်စိတ်မတွန့်ဘူးစိတ်ဓာတ်ခိုင်နေ စိတ်ခိုင်ခန့်ခန့်နဲ့လှုပ်လို့ရှိရင်ဘယ်ဟာမျိုးဆိုအောင်မြင်တာပဲဆိုတာပေါ့လေစိတ်တော်ကိနမကမ္မနစိတ်จิตဆိုတာပေါ့လေအဲ့လိုသဘောထားပြီးတော့စိတ်ကိုခိုင်ခန့်ခန့်ထားပါတယ်မရရဘူးဒီလိုဆိုအောင်မြင်တာပဲတခါတည်းမှလည်းပဲစူးစမ်းမှုပေါ့လေဒီနည်းကကောင်းတယ်ဒီနည်းလမ်းလိုက်လို့ရှိရင်အကျိုးကျေးဇူးရှိတယ်နိမန်ကိုသိပြီးတော့အဲ့ဒီနိမန်အတိုင်းပေါ့လေအမှန်တရားကိုရှာရတယ်သိအောင်လို့ရှာရတယ်သူတည်တနာလုပ်ရတယ်အခုသတိပဋ္ဌာန်ဘာဝနာတရားဟာသူတည်တနာပဲမိမိကိုယ်ကိုမိမိသူတည်တနာလုပ်နေတာ research လုပ်နေတာပဲဒါတော့အင်္ဂါကြီးစုံသွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ယုံနာတရားကြီးအကျဉ်းစားသိလာမယ်နည်းနည်းလေးစိတ်ပြီးတော့သိလာမယ်ခုရိယပြညာမရောက်လာလို့ရှိရင်အသေးစိတ်သိလာမှာဟိုအထက်ပိုင်းညာနေဆိုရင်အထူးပြောစရာမရှိတော့ဒါပဲအဲ့ဒါလိုလက်တွေ့စူးစမ်းလို့တိသွားတာဒါအရေးကြီးတာပဲဆိုတော့ဗောလေကိုယ်စူးစမ်းမှုပညာကိုအာဟုတစ်ခုနဲ့ကြိုးစားလို့ရှိရင်ဘုမစိတ္တိပါဒဆိုတာဖြစ်တာပဲတော့ဒါပဲအဲ့ဒါလိုတစ်ခုခုအာဟုတစ်ခုနဲ့နိဗ္ဗာန်လမ်းမှာဗောလေကြိုးစားလို့ရှိရင်ကြိုးစားမှုတွေအချင်းကြီးဖြစ်မသွားဘူးအောင်မြင်တာပဲအဋ္ဌိပါဒဆိုတာဗောလေကိုယ်ရည်မှန်းတဲ့အရာတွေပြည့်စည်အောင်မြင်ရဲ့အခြေခံတွေဖြစ်လာတယ်တဲ့အခုဒီဥရိယပြညာမဲရောက်တဲ့ခါကျတော့အဲ့ဒါတွေလည်းပဲပေါ်လာတတ်ပါတယ်
One should have a goal. And when one makes an aim to accomplish something, the basic cause for achieving success is called in Pali iddhipada. There are 4 factors that that become the basic cause for success. So this cause for success must be present. It's like when you build a building, the foundation is important, and these basic causes for success, these 4 qualities which become the base for one to accomplish what one aims for, are very important. So here we learn the correct method of practice. We search for and we find a correct method, and then one has zeal or desire to gain the results. So this is zeal, called chanda in Pali, is one of the factors that become a cause for success. For one who has the desire to accomplish something, there is nothing that cannot be accomplished. This is how the attitude that one has. Because I have the desire to accomplish, I know that there is nothing that cannot be accomplished through my strong desire to achieve. So when one has strong zeal, strong chanda, then based on that one can achieve what one aims for. Sometimes it's our courageous effort that becomes the base for success. Virya, this is the courage to overcome difficulties when one encounters them, the courage to avoid base behavior, the courage to stick with what is right. And for one who has courage, there is nothing that cannot be accomplished. The mind is the 3rd factor that can become a base, chitta, consciousness, the mind. This can be the base for our success when our mind is firm. when we meet up with something that is cause for depression, that tends to make the mind back up. One doesn't want to go forward. But one can make one's mind firm, knowing that with this firm mind, with my decision, with my mind set to accomplish what I'm aiming for, there is nothing that cannot be accomplished. And the fourth quality is knowledge, or vipassana, the investigation. So it's good to investigate, and one investigates, one has to find a method for developing the mind. So one researches. This method itself is a process of self-research, studying oneself. And when one develops the factors, the basic mental factors that are needed in the practice, one begins to know things bit by bit. One gains the knowledge of distinguishing between mind and matter. And as one progresses, these factors, one's knowledge becomes sharper at the stage of udyabhya jnana. One's knowledge is quite sharp. And needless to say, one's knowledge is very sharp at the stages above udyabhya jnana. So this type of knowledge can also be a base for success. With knowledge, there is nothing one can't accomplish. There's no task that can't be accomplished. So based on any one of these four factors, one's aim can be accomplished based on one's zeal or chanda, one's courageous effort, one's firm mind, or one's wisdom, one's knowledge. So these bases for success occur at the stage of udyabhya jnana, seeing the fast arising and passing away of phenomena.
Udyabhya jnanaရောက်လာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တကယ်ကိုနိမန်လမ်းမှန်တိုင်းကြိုးစားအားထုတ်တော့ဒီနေ့တဲ့ဒီနေ့ပေါ်ဒီတဏှာကြီးတဲ့တဏှာကြီးထူးထူးခြားခြားစိတ်တည်စင်ကြယ်အသိဉာဏ်နဲ့အစဉ်စဉ်ဖြစ်လာတာကိုအဖြစ်အပျက်ကိုခတ်သွက်တဲ့သိမြင်လာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဟုတ်ပါလားဆိုတော့လေဒီနည်းမှန်ပါလားခုငါအထုတ်နေတာဟာအခုစိတ်ကလေးတွေကတမျိုးပြောင်းသွားပြီအသိဉာဏ်လေးတွေကလည်းပဲတမျိုးဖြစ်လာပြီဆိုတော့ဗောဒီဒီနည်းအမှန်ပေါ်မှာရောကျင့်သုံးလို့ရရှိတဲ့အကျိုးရလဒ်ပေါ်မှာရောလက်ခံလာတဲ့အတည်ပြုလာတဲ့အဲ့ဒါတတ္တတရားပဲအဲ့လိုတတ္တတရားရှိတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဟာနိမန်တိုင်းကြိုးစားလို့ဒီအချိန်ကြီးရောက်လာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့ဒီကိုယ်တွေ့တတ္တတရားလေးကနိမမှန်တပါဘောလေမမှန်တဲ့ဟာတွေမဟုတ်ဘူးဆိုတာပေါ့လေဒီနည်းကမဟုတ်ဘူးဆိုတာပေါ့လေနိမန်နဲ့နိမန်ရောက်ရရှိတဲ့အကျိုးရလဒ်ပေါ်မှာခိုင်မြဲတဲ့ယုံကြည်မှုနဲ့အုပ်ချုပ်ထားတာပဲတတ္တတရားကြီးပြတ်သွားတာမရှိဘူးယုတ်တိယုတ်တန်နဲ့ဘလောက်ပဲလာပြောအကြောင်းကျိုးမညီညွတ်ဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လက်မခံဘူးအကြောင်းကျိုးညီညွတ်လို့ရှိရင်တော့လက်ခံတာပဲဓမ္မအဲ့ဒီတတ္တတရားမျိုးဟာကိုယ်မှရှိအောင်လုပ်ရပါတယ်အုပ်ချုပ်နိုင်စွမ်းရှိအောင်ပေါ့ဒီတစ်ဖက်မရရအောင်ပေါ့လေကိုဆုံးဖြတ်နိုင်လို့တဲ့အခြေအနေတွေရောက်အောင်ပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီတတ္တတရားတွေကြီးစိုးနိုင်တဲ့အပိုင်းအထိပေါ့လေအိန္ဒြိယခေါ်ရတဲ့ဓမ္မတရားထုတ်လို့ရှိရင်တတ္တတရားတွေကြီးလာတတ်ပါတယ်ထွားလာတတ်ပါတယ်တတ္တတရားကြီးလာလို့ရှိရင်တူလို့နဲ့မဝေခွဲနိုင်တဲ့တတ္တတရားအားနေတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဆွဲရပါသွားတာပဲအခုဆွဲရမပါတော့ဘူးကိုကလည်းထိချုပ်ထားနိုင်တာ So in that is like
if one reaches the stage of Uddiyabhyajnana, seeing the fast arising and passing away of phenomena, then as one continues to practice according to the correct method, day by day, even hour by hour, one sees special differences in one's mind as one goes along. And one feels that this method is true. So one understands my mind has changed and knowledge is occurring. So one comes to acceptance and acknowledgement of the method and the benefits it brings. So this is faith, saddha. And when one goes forward with this, one knows what is correct, one knows what is the correct path, and has firm faith in the method and the benefits that come from it. So this faith becomes a ruling quality. So whether someone persuasive comes to you and tries to tell you, tries to raise doubts in your mind about the practice, and so on, one has such strong faith that one is able to control oneself in the face of these people trying to raise doubts. This is how faith becomes this decisive faith that develops in the practice is able to be a controlling factor or ruling factor.
Senta nature de konosita abumurigo. Ago a chintiane, shawere tati sigaro. Tashine yinjere yarego, luyere tati sigaro. Eritati sitare poco ha. Tati pionia bioboli, pindia de wenlayan. Senta nature sitati ayarego. Aludago. Ready to Josaro. I mean, I can't done it. Young Zane, you movie, so he showed that he take on her. And I let ye cheat of it. Kavama 30 in anybody. Matia movie body. Go live at Jim Jet to the valley of Tiga Nina at a yard body. Era they go showed it 30. Kavadu Kavada in any Java, down to Pietana, they take it. Eddie would interest to the Lepo Kona. Eddie 30 days she loves Russian, 30 time who are level Villa. Titi Tadaji, Boapilla, 3 made of Shido, 3 less Somo Ochona. 30 Colonel level, 60 Pianchedo of Shido. Tomarine so old. Kanga so nine. A dinyane, Signano dinyane. Let me a dinyane to get woman. Go in Shivito, go in Pietro de Hareo, they already a dinero. I go to the Muamus or I want the Yane, a dinyane, plateau penny. Tashina Regiverka woman and a shiro. So more Ochon and a dinyana. To Ochotara. I don't make Kangan a young Mishiro. To Ochotara. I don't also a countess who go Ocho Nana so and a Shilavi. Satabla, Uriabla, Stibla, Samaribla, Pinabla, so are the Shilavi. So I count so more chum for level, Nana Philly with them. That is it. Udiatorici erade. A lineage pillar to Pare.
So when one's faith becomes very clear, developed, and good, then one has the courage to avoid doing what is unwholesome, and the courage to do what is pure and clean. And one doesn't want to undertake anything that is base and low. If one doesn't want to give in to laziness and so on. So one is very brave about avoiding any type of unwholesome action. And at present there is a lot of injustice in the world. Unjust acts destroy one's own morality and they harm others. And the prevalence of injustice is causing a lot of problems in the world. So when one practices, this ruling factor of courageous effort becomes better. And as one's effort, as one's virya becomes better, so too one's sati becomes better. And sati becomes a ruling factor in the mind. And the mind, because of the control of sati, it doesn't get scattered. And the samadhi becomes stronger due to the strength of sati. So the mind is being ruled also by concentration or samadhi. And one's knowledge is very keen because one sees in very great detail. One sees things that occur in a very quick and fleeting manner. So this knowledge at this stage also becomes a ruling factor. It keeps unwholesomeness from arising. So when these ruling factors of faith, effort, sati, samadhi, and panya, wisdom, become good, they become powerful. So these are the 5 powers that develop in the practice: the power of faith, effort, sati, samadhi, and panya. So it's very clear in the practice how these develop.
Mangande Tadatiya Mashivu Solution, Sura Bure, Sura, Sojomia, Kona Bure, Konjomia, Sarabani. Babe Lolo, Konjo Soviet Mashi, the Pira Vesrabani, Eramiobo. Edelo Yokimu Mavis Roche, Yanga Word of Miani Vare, a pity Miawar Tijavare. The Loyere Amari Loyere Tati, no Payan Laila, Amari Pira Miara. The Rigauna and Matane Nobu, Grandma and the Didi body, Eddie Bema Akon. Grandma safety and moody, grandma at Tina and the body at a psychonora. Eddie Roche Coco, Tain and Ocho Yidi, Pia Piro. Swaga made Ocho Yidi, Pietro Ocho Pietro and the Amazo Matine Moo. During the hair of the sea, Kupuago, Mocho and Musolochi and no Pia before Madavi. Kabama era de Pieni Vare, the Jose Cone, era never Jama Seho, Matiniero, Talove to Jauzo.
If there's no correct faith, that is, if there's no faith that good actions bring good results, bad actions bring bad results, if one doesn't have that understanding but thinks, whatever we do, it's okay, everything's over when we die. So when one doesn't have correct faith, but believes in this way, then violence is mostly what happens. And mostly people commit wrongdoing. So when one can't control oneself, that's one thing. One can't control oneself without correct understanding and faith. And one errs, one makes mistakes, and one's knowledge also errs. So in this way, the ruling factors are destroyed. And when the rulers are bad, then what is being governed is also suffers. So this is a topic that Sayadawgyi will continue tomorrow night. That's all for today. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.